Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here. Question: how many of you were pissed off that Astro Bot won Game of the Year at the Game Awards over Black Myth Wukong? Okay, look, to be honest, you're all gonna want to get out of here, because if I'm being completely honest, I fucking loved Astro Bot. A celebration of PlayStation's history. If there was any game that is like the equivalent of comfort food, Astro Bot would be it. If you played any Sony title over the last 20 years, chances are that there will be something that seems familiar to you here. Heck, have you seen a PS5? Do you know what they look like? Boom, in game. But even if for some reason you've never touched a PlayStation before, are completely unaware of any of the games that came out for it, but you decided this was gonna be the very first one you tried out, you're still gonna have a great time with this title. The reason for that is because of how polished the experience is. Astro Bot is constantly throwing new things at you in each of its worlds. You may don a pair of springy boxing gloves that can knock projectiles back at enemies in one world, and then shrink down to the size of a mouse in another, having to explore the crevices that you may not even have been aware were there. Even in the later stages, when some of the mechanics make a comeback, I was never disappointed because they threw different things to interact with the world with these mechanics to keep things fresh. And the music that accompanies you in each of the worlds is fantastic to listen to, and honestly propelled my excitement for exploring each of these places. Now, the story here is fairly simple. While out in space, you're attacked by an alien that seems to have some sort of infatuation with your PS5 spaceship. He destroys it, steals its components, and sends all of your fellow bots to various worlds across the galaxy. It's up to you to find your fellow bots and take back the components of your ship to repair it. And that's about it. But what more do you need for an adventure? And yes, while you may laugh at the simplicity of the premise, it's in its execution that's going to bring a smile to your face. You see, in each of these worlds, as you rescue bots, there is a small handful of them that are dressed like iconic PlayStation characters. People like Parappa the Rapper, Lara Croft, the Hunter from Bloodborne. I was super excited to see who I would bump into next, that if I for whatever reason missed anybody, I felt compelled that I had to go back to the world to hunt them down. Actually, out of any game in 2024, I really wanted to 100% complete this one, and it was really just to see all the characters that they crammed in here. Even when it was a character that I wasn't familiar with, I still thought it was cool that they were in the game. And they all inhabit this hub area, and you can interact with them. They have their animations, some of which that even brought a smile to my face. And it was even cool to see some characters that I never thought I would ever see again. Intelligence Cube, anyone? As you go through the worlds that are spread across different galaxies, you will fight bosses in each of these areas. And while they're not that difficult, the scale of each one made them such a joy to experience. Each galaxy also hides hidden levels that put your skills to the test. If you feel the game is too easy, I implore you to seek out these additional areas out, as a few of them kicked my ass as they took more focus to get through them. There's even a special final challenge world that unlocked one final character, and I gotta say, huge props to whoever decided that final character was gonna be, because that was just perfect. As for negatives, I really just have nitpicks. First, while the game crams a lot of PlayStation representation in the game, there's obviously certain characters that are missing here. And understandably so. I mean, I'm sure they can't include everyone, and licensing probably stopped them from being able to add certain characters. Nevertheless, their absence was still felt. I also do think if you're just going through the main path, the game is going to be way too easy. Again, if you want a challenge, I implore you to check out those hidden worlds. That's really where the challenge is. But if you're just trying to get through the game to see what it's about, I do think it's going to be too much of a cakewalk for most people. Lastly, and this really is just going to differ based on your own experiences, but I do think you're going to find enjoyment even if you're not a PlayStation fan, but taking it to the next level, how much does this nostalgia play a factor in that? Because to me, I loved it because of the nostalgia factor. But if somebody comes up and says, you know, it was good, but I didn't love it because I just couldn't get invested in the gimmick of the game, I can understand that. Again, these are just nitpicks that don't affect the overall score of the game, but I did think they were worth a mention. Everything else is fucking fantastic. Heck, just looking at the game, there is a sheen to it that gives it such a visual appeal. And did I mention that there are special stages where you get to play as some of the PlayStation characters? You take on the attributes of each character, which results in the gameplay changing for that particular level. Each one is a ton of fun to control and just adds to the overall mechanics the game has. Quite honestly, it's very impressive everything they managed to accomplish in terms of technical aspects. If your jaw isn't hitting the floor at what the title manages to accomplish at least once, then I don't know what to tell you, because it was all incredibly impressive to me. It's not often that a game can use nostalgia as a base for existing. I mean, you know, unless you're like the Mario games. But to be this good? I mean, the fact that Astro Bot is setting the bar for all future platformers to strive to, that's saying something. And I can also see this being a game that non-gamers are gonna want to try out as well, because I can see it being a catalyst for them to finally see how amazing or fun games can be. And to me, that's a victory in and of itself. So, knocking it out of the galaxy, I give Astro Bot a 5 out of 5 with a strong recommendation to buy it. Not only do I think this game belongs in your collection, but I think this is a great entry point for anyone you want to introduce video games to. Have a kid or a significant other that only dabbles in video games? Let them play this one, because I can see this being that door that opens for them to try out other titles. And as someone who wants to see the popularity of gaming continue to grow, that is one of the most important facets for me. And that's all I got for the first review. 1 down, 4 more to go. And I gotta say, if every other Game of the Year nominee is as fun as Astro Bot, it's gonna be damn hard to choose a winner this time around. But we'll have to see what tomorrow brings. So until then, everybody, like always, stay safe out there and have a good one.